Tell me about it. Ticket prices skyrocketed yesterday, and still they were sold out in seconds. Luckily, I'm quite agile with my hands after 27 years of practice as a single man. Otherwise, we would have missed out. Brother Feng, you are freaking awesome. It was Lin Feng and his friends who had traveled a long distance to take their tests in the Holy Light Base City. All of them were in high spirits thanks to having finished their tests with satisfactory scores. As such, they decided to stay and watch the trainers' competition that was held every 3 years. The participants of the competition were young people whose age could not go beyond 30. Lin Feng and his friends were qualified to participate but got there too late and missed the registration time. That being said, they didn't feel sorry. Lin Feng and Yu Yingying had outstanding abilities given the fact that the two were at the 6th rank. The two would stand out even when compared to other young people from the Holy Light Base City. However, having watched videos of past competitions, the two realized that they would be eliminated soon even if they took part in it. Trainers would have to be equipped with abilities approaching the 7th rank if they wanted a spot among the top 10. Anyone who aimed to win the championship would have to have 7th rank abilities. All the past winners of the competition had been 7th rank trainers. Even in years where talents gathered, the 3rd place would sometimes go to a 7th rank trainer. 7th rank trainers were advanced trainers, one step away from becoming master trainers. If they were lucky enough to have a master trainer as a mentor, advanced trainers could become master trainers themselves with ease. On the other hand, to reach the top trainer tier would have to be up to fate and one's natural endowments. Most of the past first place winners had become master trainers. Only a few that were too young and aggressive had wasted their talents and ended up tarnishing their own reputations. Look over there. Those seats are for top trainers. The top trainers are gonna come. Of course. The most important thing today is not the final game to determine who the champion is, but when the top trainers come to pick people to become their students. So I've heard. I am told that the champions would become hot items and several top trainers would fight for them. Really? Would the top trainers fight like that? What do you know? That is called cherishing talent. All of a sudden, Lin Feng shushed his friends and pointed in a direction. Look! They're here. His friends looked over. There were some journalists and reporters by the guarded corridor, next to the top trainers' seats. They suddenly got excited just like sharks able to catch the scent of blood and readied their equipment as they waited by the entrance. Then, 2 people, one aged and one young came out of the entrance, talking cheerfully and humorously. The aged man wore a robe that was unique to top trainers with his medal pinned on the robe. The kind old man took great care of his looks. On the other hand, the young man was dressed casually. His face was certainly handsome, but other than that, nothing stood out about the young man. Snap, snap! The reporters hurried to take photos. Is that? Lin Feng and his friends noticed something. They stared with astonishment, as if they had seen a ghost. The aged top trainer was the center of attention and yet those young people's focus was on the young one next to him. They could not help but keep on rubbing their eyes, wondering if something had blurred their sights. Isn't the young one the person we met before? Why is he talking happily to a top trainer? Lin Feng and his friends were puzzled. They couldn't figure it out. What is going on? They were surprised enough when they saw Suoping holding a master trainer medal. Lin Feng apologized to Suoping with a very good attitude. They would have never guessed they were going to witness something even more outrageous, once they saw Suoping was walking alongside a top trainer. Many people noticed when Suoping and the vice chairman entered the stadium. Quite a number of people cried out in surprise. The spotlight made Suoping very uncomfortable. The vice chairman, on the other hand, was used to it. He was always smiling and he would politely nod to reporters from the mainstream media in the Holy Light Base City. I think we got here early, the vice chairman said, gazing at the row of empty seats. Suoping said nothing in reply. Early or not, it didn't matter. They walked to their seats. The vice chairman sat on one of the seats in the middle. The seat was usually reserved for the chairman, but he rarely went to such events. If the vice-chairman didn't sit there, no one else would. Su Ping sat down next to him. The people who were paying attention to them were stunned after seeing the seats they had chosen. The reporters also stared at them blankly. Everyone was thinking the same thing, that Su Ping was a student who came with the vice-chairman. No one expected that he would choose one of those seats. Those seats were reserved for top trainers. Not even the chairman's son would have the right to sit there. The vice-chairman could feel the glances of confusion and questions darted their way. He explained to Su Ping with a smile, "Only some people working at the headquarters know about you. No one else knows that we have a new top trainer yet." Su Ping nodded. He didn't mind. He was just there to pick a student. He would directly go back home after he found someone he was happy about and left some parting words to the vice-chairman. The Holy Light Base City was not a familiar place and the people there were strangers. He didn't care about the place nor the people. Other top trainers showed up moments after their arrival. The vice-chairman had introduced Su Ping to some of those top trainers the day prior. The latter were surprised and interested that Su Ping would be there to find a student for himself. They were eager to get to know this new top trainer. All of them greeted Su Ping and seated themselves. Several top trainers didn't see Su Ping the other day. Several of them were stunned upon seeing his unfamiliar face. The vice-chairman did the honors and explained Su Ping's status as a new top trainer. They exchanged some pleasantries with Su Ping with a friendly attitude. The group started to chatter gaily as more and more top trainers arrived. All of them knew each other. They would usually be busy with their own work, so it was easy for them to find something to discuss whenever they got together. "So, guys, wanna bet?" an old man sitting by Su Ping proposed with a smile. The old man was named Hu Jiatong. He was among the top trainers that Su Ping had met the previous day. Su Ping later found out that he was Hu Rongrong's grandfather, whom Su Ping had met once before. He was also one of the senior top trainers working at the headquarters. Hu Jiatong was skilled in training dragons and was one of the most outstanding top trainers. Still, everyone knew about his weakness, which was gambling. The others burst into laughter, knowing Hu Jiatong's eagerness to dip his fingers in gambling again. "What are we betting on?" LV Rinwei asked with a smile of his own. "To guess today's champion." Hu Jiatong was enraptured, seeing that his old friend was helping out. He stroked his mustache as he went on, "Let's find out who has the best eyes today. We have but a few participants. Who do you think will be the champion?" LV Rinwei knew this was coming. He chuckled. "You never change. I've already looked at their videos. I have my money on Muliutasu." "Muliutasu? The genius from the Muliu family? Man, you have good eyes." Hu Jiatong acted surprised at first but then asked others with a smile, "What about you?" "Let's talk about stakes first," one of them answered. "Right," the others seconded that proposal. They were going to make some fun out of it. An old man in a black robe stated, "I think we can add a bit more fun to it. There's no fun in guessing who the champion is. How about we guess who will be the top 3? That'll make things more interesting, don't you think?" Hu Jiatong's eyes glowed. "Old CAO, you're good. I think CAO's idea is good. Brother Su, you wanna play?" LV Rinwei asked Su Ping. He didn't want to rain on their parade, seeing that everyone was thrilled. He nodded and said, "Sure, I'll play." "Nice." Hu Jiatong got even more excited. "Let's all make a list of the top 3. As for the stakes, how about a 9th rank dragon? Get lost. Everyone knows you have more than enough dragons. We're not battle pet warriors. What do we need dragons for?" "Sell them," one top trainer said grumpily. The others nodded in agreement. Dragons were precious, but they focused on different areas of study and not all of them worked on that kind of beast. They would have to give away the dragons which would not benefit them at all. "How about a training skill book?" LV Rinwei answered after some thought. The others were happy about that. A training skill book was something they all wanted. That we can do. But it must be a middle-rank training skill book. I don't think any of you will have the guts to offer a low-rank training skill book. Of course. I can accept the terms. Some nodded. No one else had opposing views. That was just a fun bet. They weren't in want of middle-rank training skill books, either, however, there was a great diversity. When it came to trainers, they could never have enough training skill books and they could always teach their students new skills. Compared to dragons, training skill books were more appealing. You guys, Hu Jiatong didn't know what to say. What is wrong with dragons? I have a lot of dragons. I can afford the stakes. Besides, dragons were more expensive than middle-rank training skill books. A 9th-rank dragon should be at least as valuable as an advanced training skill book. Hu Jiatong heaved a sigh. He didn't have many middle-rank training skill books left. He turned to Suiping, "Brother Su, are you okay with that?" The other top trainers remembered Suiping. They were all senior trainers and could take out a training skill book easily. However, Suiping was from another base city. In their opinion, there was only one word that could be used to describe base cities that were not the Holy Light base city: poverty. A small bet was set for them to have fun. If the stakes were too high for one of them, where would be the fun of it? Since Suiping agreed, Hu Jiatong forced a smile but didn't say anything else. I will be the judge then. The vice-chairman didn't stop them since everyone was getting interested, but he didn't place a bet because he didn't want to encourage that behavior. Sure. They all agreed. Then, one of them summoned a person to get some pens and paper. Soon, they were all ready. Listen, think about your answers. No peeking, LV Rinwei said grumpily to Hu Jiatong, who was trying to steal a look at his answer. Hu Jiatong blushed in embarrassment. I've already come up with a list. Don't think I'm interested in your answer. At the same time, Suiping was thinking carefully. He had already watched the videos of the top 10 players on his way over. He tried to recall their performances. Suiping was also optimistic about Muliu Tasu, whom they had mentioned. He was a very promising candidate for the championship. His performance was excellent and he could easily defeat his opponents. Upon much deliberation, Suiping came up with 3 names. He folded his paper and looked at the others. Soon enough, everyone finished their lists and handed them to the vice-chairman. I will keep the answers for you, the vice-chairman said with a smile. I'm going to win this bet. Hu Jiatong claimed. He had a flushing complexion at the moment. LV Rinwei darted him a glance of contempt. When did you ever win? Don't dwell on the past. I am gonna win. You don't say. As they conversed, the judges approached the stage and the competitions began. The top 5 winners were revealed after the last round. 4 of the 5 would be competing one-on-one first and the 5th one would have the bye. First up was a girl and a boy. They were around their mid-20s. The boy was Muliu Tushu, the one who had the highest likelihood of winning the championship. The girl was also an outstanding participant who did well in all her previous matches. The judges read the rules and the games were officially started. Each of the 2 participants picked out a beast that they were going to train. The beasts were provided by the organizer, i.e. the head office of the Trainers Association. All the beast options were textbook cases, raised especially for the competition. Textbook beasts meant that their abilities, natural traits, and characters were all according to standard, just as they had been introduced in official textbooks. The trainers were required to strengthen the beast's abilities and then have the trained beasts fight, to find out which beast would win. Muliu Tushu picked out a dragon. The girl picked out a beast of the demon family. A pin against an all. Both beasts were formidable. The time limit for the match was 2 hours. Next to the stage, Suiping, the vice-chairman, and the other top trainers were observing the proceedings quietly. The beasts that the boy and the girl had picked out entered the stage. The two quickly unleashed skills they each were good at. First, they used taming skills to get the beasts they chose under control and make them docile enough so that they could do anything they wanted to them. The girl and the boy were equally proficient in the taming skill. They tamed the dragon and the beast of the demon family almost at the same time. Both achieved this in less than 5 minutes. That was highly efficient. Both the dragon and the beast of the demon family were at the 7th rank. That was to say, to tame them so quickly, the taming skill had to be also at the 7th rank. There were many branches and styles of taming skills. The taming skill that Muliutasu used, as pointed out by other top trainers, was one that was specially designed to tame dragons. It was an exclusive skill of the Muliu family, and quite outstanding at that. Then the two began to train the beasts. They had a limited time of 2 hours. As such, they could not train the beasts comprehensively, so they had to compromise. Which aspect would their opponent focus on? Which skill should they strengthen so that their beast could beat their opponent in the upcoming fight? Trainers should be equipped with not only training abilities, but also strategic thinking. Only in this way could trainers help a battle pet's combat strength grow. Without hesitation, the two players had decided what to do and started to train their beasts. The audience kept quiet during the entire process. Everyone was watching with rapt attention. Suiping and the other top trainers also remained silent. The process seemed boring, but the fact was that dangers were lurking. Look at Muliutasu, he's smarter than he looks. He pretends that he is trying to refine the Frostwing dragon's energy when he is in fact secretly using his astral powers to strengthen the dragon's claws. Is he thinking about making his dragon tear apart its opponent directly? LV Rinwei squinted his eyes. He highly appreciated Muliutasu's talent. That's a good choice. The Frostwing dragon and the corpse puppet are well matched in strength. Both beasts are good at close-range combat. I cannot wait to see a brilliant fight where the two beasts' strength and defense are tested, another top trainer commented. But I don't think the girl is going in that direction. She's enhancing the corpse puppet's skill. Is she aiming at improving a certain skill within 2 hours? I think the best she can do is to raise a middle or even low-rank skill, and even that will be hard for her. Interesting. The top trainers were intrigued. None of them were able to predict the results before the training ended. Suiping listened to their conversation. His last 2 days in the library had paid off. At the very least, he could understand what the top trainers were saying. Trainers should have insights into the beasts in addition to mastering training skills. Only then could trainers decide what to focus on in their training. When battle pet warriors seeked a trainer for help, it would usually mean that the former had met an enemy that was a hard nut to crack. If the trainer was unable to provide accurate and targeted help, then the battle pet warrior would have to purchase a new battle pet, which would cost more. Besides, a new battle pet would mean another spot in the battle pet warrior's spirit. Each battle pet warrior could only establish a contract with a limited number of pets. It was true that battle pet warriors were able to cancel contracts, however, that would make them vulnerable. For battle pet warriors who were engaged in fights all year long, enduring a vulnerable period like that could cost their lives. Soon, 2 hours passed. That one is gonna win. Sure think so. As the training ended, Hu Jiatong and the others were able to determine the players' intentions. With the rich experience and solid knowledge foundation, the top trainers already had an idea which player was going to win. On the stage, the two players breathed in relief. They had started to sweat. The next part was the beasts fight, which was the audience's favorite. There was a sealed-off area in the middle of the stage. The judges placed the two beasts in that area. The fight started and the chains on the beasts were removed. In the next second, the corpse puppet roared and dashed toward the dragon forcefully. The Frostwing dragon, on the other hand, seemed less barbaric. First, it let out a roar. The strange thing was, the dragon's roar failed to stop the corpse puppet. The corpse puppet kept on rushing toward the Frostwing dragon. That's a very violent character. Nice. When did she do that? I didn't even notice. After the initial surprise, the top trainers began to smile. Soon, a fierce battle broke out. The two beasts unleashed their skills and threw themselves at each other. The two beasts were well matched in strength to begin with, and the battle's intensity rose to white-hot levels gradually. The Frostwing dragon began to gain the upper hand with its strengthened claws. They appeared to be the same as before, but upon a closer look, one could see faint silver glows over the dragon claws. The Frostwing dragon could leave a deep mark on the corpse puppet with each attack. The two beasts kept on unleashing more skills and soon, the battle came to an end. The Frostwing dragon won. The judges stopped the fight when the corpse puppet was about to be beaten to death, then they sent the two beasts away. She has good abilities, but she made a poor decision. If she would have chosen to train the corpse puppet's malefic deterrence skill, it would have been able to inflict more harm on the Frostwing dragon. That's not an easy skill to improve, especially when the time is so short. If she hadn't been able to finish that training, her pet would have lost even sooner. I think it's just that the Muliuta lad is scheming. She didn't foresee that he would also strengthen the Frostwing dragon's limbs. She could have just strengthened the corpse puppet's corpse armor. Then the two beasts would have ended in a tie, and with the violence that she had secretly stimulated, there was a good chance that the corpse puppet could win. That Muliuta sure played a convincing show. He used so much astral power just to make it look real. That wasn't an easy task. The top trainers were exchanging ideas. All in all, the results were clear. The girl had lost. There could be a ton of reasons, but nothing would change the fact. The judges announced the results and the two players got off the stage. The second pair got on the stage. Both of them are outstanding. I cannot tell who is going to win. Everyone watched with great interest. Still, the two participants picked their beasts, tamed them, trained them, and had them fight. The trainers were forbidden from interfering in the fight. Otherwise, this would have been a battle pet warriors competition, not a trainers. The trainers could only leave their trained beasts in the seal and witness the fight. The beasts' potential, their abilities, and reactions to a desperate situation were all variables that the trainers had to know and consider in their training process. Soon, the result came out. The winner of the second group was a girl named Yu Yundan. The two losing parties from the two groups competed against each other. The winner of the two challenged the one who was in the bye. This winner and the two previous winners of the first two groups competed against each other for the top 3 places. Soon, the afternoon came. After rounds of fierce competition, the top 3 winners were decided. The last game ended and the champion was decided. The audience burst into a cheer that was loud enough to wake the dead. The champion was Muliuta. The silver medal winner was Yu Yundan. The bronze medal winner was a girl named Zhongling Tong, the one who was in the bye. The moment Muliuta won the championship, Hu Jiatong turned to the vice-chairman with astonishment in his eyes. He had some serious doubts about himself. I am the only winner. Hu Jiatong couldn't believe it. He rarely won, not to mention being the sole winner. The other top trainers were just as surprised as he was. They were fine with losing a bet, but the fact that Hu Jiatong could win was against all reason and logic. Old Hu, nicely done. Good eyes. Never mind. I'll give you the training skill book. They shook their heads. Since this was just a fun bet, they never took it seriously, and losing it didn't put them in a bad mood. Of course, Hu Jiatong was the only one that did take it seriously. Su Ping shook his head as well, a little bit disappointed. Do I give you the skill book now? Su Ping asked Hu Jiatong. He had no skill book, but he could make a copy of 1 or 2 middle-rank thunder skills from the elementary rules of thunder and give that to Hu Jiatong. That way, Hu Jiatong would be able to impart the thunder skill to the beasts. That was kind of a training skill, but one that was different from the conventional path. It's okay. You can give it to me later. Hu Jiatong was smiling gaily. He was happy enough just by having won the bet in itself. He didn't care about the stakes that much. Su Ping nodded. The other top trainers joked around with Hu Jiatong when the vice-chairman reminded them, "Okay, did you take a liking to any of the participants? You can start thinking about it now. Same rules as before. If several of you are interested in the same student, it will be up to the student to decide who is more appealing. Also, after today, no one is allowed to make trouble for the others over their choices." The bet was irrelevant. The important task of the day was for them to pick students. The top trainers became serious after that. They looked at each other, trying to sound out each other's intentions. "Brother Su, anyone caught your fancy?" LV Rinwei asked Su Ping. Su Ping only replied with a smile. LV Rinwei produced a forced smile in return. Su Ping had learned to be mischievous quicker than he had thought. The award ceremony had reached its end. The Master of Ceremonies announced with emotion that the time for top trainers to pick students had arrived. Everyone turned their attention to the 9 seats. "Is that?" an aged man said to a girl sitting next to him. Both were frozen on the spot when the two saw the young man sitting among the top trainers. They stared with their mouths agape. "Is that the young man? The one we met on the underground train? Wasn't he a titled battle pet warrior? Why is he there, on the seats for top trainers?" The aged man and the girl were Ji Zhantang and his granddaughter Ji Kaihuyu that Su Ping had met on his way there. Ji Zhantang took his granddaughter to the Holy Light Base City for the trainers' test and the competition. Unfortunately, she had already been eliminated from the competition since she was merely at the 6th rank. She didn't even make it to the top 10. They stayed and watched the following matches. It never occurred to them that they would see Su Ping there, the person who had killed a titled battle pet warrior with one punch. "Is he a trainer?" Ji Kaihuyu asked her grandfather. Ji Zhantang was puzzled himself. He couldn't answer the question. "Why would I know?" The fact that Su Ping was sitting with the top trainers was proof that he had to have a distinguished identity, even if he were not a trainer himself. Ji Zhantang felt glad that he didn't upset Su Ping in any way. That young man was horrifying in many ways. "I think he got onto the train at the Longjiang station. I don't think he's from the Holy Light Base City judging by his accent. Is he from the Longjiang Base City?" Ji Zhantang thought of an idea. "After the competition, let's stop by the Longjiang Base City on our way back." The Longjiang Base City was a station that they had to pass on their way back. Making a temporary stop there would not slow them down too much. Ji Kaihuyu was still in a daze. On the stage. After the award ceremony, the two who didn't make it to the top 3 were invited back onto the stage. The 5 of them stood in a row as they looked at the 9 seats in the front row. Excitement and thrill. That was the same feeling shared by the 5 and the audience. That was the main reason why the 5 participated in the competition, to begin with. 9 seats. 8 top trainers and that one is the vice-chairman, Muliutasu was standing in the middle. He was tall and straight. As he stared at the 8 top trainers, Muliutasu could barely control himself. Standing next to him was Yu Yundan, who was a slim and breathtakingly pretty girl. She was kind of aloof at the same time. Her eyes were glowing as she focused her sight on the 8 top trainers as well. "So, let us start with the champion, Muliutasu. Anyone who wants to take him as a student can come forward now." The vice-chairman sat in the middle. He looked at the top trainers sitting next to him. He also wanted to pick a student, but he didn't go for Muliutasu. The reasons were complicated, since Muliutasu's abilities weren't the only concern. The fact that he was from the Muliu family was one of the reasons the vice-chairman didn't choose him. Sitting to his sides were 7 top trainers, including Su Ping. After a short moment of silence, LV Rinwei said first, "I'm going to go with him." "Me, too. Sorry, I want him." 3 spoke at the same time. LV Rinwei squinted his eyes. "You 2 old dogs. You are trying to steal him away from me. The thing is, I'm not stealing anyone from you. He's mine. All right, stop that. Give up to save some face. He is from the Mulia family, you know? Aren't you aware of the connection between me and the Mulia family? His dad will beat him up if he chooses any one of you instead of me. Old CAO, you know you're playing dirty, right? True. As they began to choose a satisfactory student, the previous friendly atmosphere between them disappeared. No one was holding back. Su Ping sat there and remained silent. He didn't like that Muliutasuz, so he decided to enjoy that little show. He had his reasons for not choosing Muliutasu, and the most important one was that there was someone else he was happy about. Muliutasu did win first place and he had exhibited outstanding abilities. However, this was just one match. People would win and lose many times in their lives. He was more concerned about whether the person could learn and develop and of course, if there was good chemistry. All right. Tell him what you want to say. Let's see what you've got, the vice chairman cut them off. LV Rinwei snorted and shouted to Muliutasu. Hey, the kid from the Mulia family. Do you know me? Become my student and I will make you a master trainer in 3 years. His voice was sonorous. After all, he had 8th rank astral powers. Even without a mic, his voice could be heard at every corner of the stadium. The audience was shocked. 3 years to make him a master trainer? How bold! Of course, being a top trainer, LV Rinwei did have the right to say those words. On the stage, the other 4 players cast Muliutasu an admiring but jealous glance. Muliutasu was intrigued but he didn't say yes right away. He had heard that his father and a certain top trainer had talked about his future. That's nothing. I can guide you to open up a new training path for yourself, which is even harder than becoming a master trainer. Also, I can teach you everything about my dragon bloodline refinement. That is the most powerful refinement skill there is, another top trainer stroked his beard and said with pride. You. LV Rinwei was fuming with rage. You're willing to seduce a student with your strongest skill. How generous. Interesting, old CAO let the 2 of them talk it out first. Tasu, come and learn from me. Old CAO said, neither anxious nor impatient. Muliutasu looked at him and then darted a glance at the other 2 top trainers. If it weren't for the fact that his dad had talked with old CAO, he would have been more than happy to learn from any one of the other 2 top trainers. Also, they had made promises that were quite enticing. Amid everyone's ardent looks, eventually, Muliutasu went with old CAO. Told you. There's no use fighting with me considering how close I am to the Mulia family. There's no use for that. Old CAO couldn't hide his enraptured mood. LV Rinwei and the other top trainer snorted, livid with rage. Soon, it was time to decide who would take Yu Yundan as a student. Even more top trainers fought over her. Everyone knew about the relationship between old CAO and the Mulia family. Therefore, only LV Rinwei and the other top trainer who refused to be misled by fallacies decided to fight for Muliutasu, and yet neither succeeded. But there was nothing that complicated with Yu Yundan. She was from a large family but her family was not close to any top trainer. This time, even the vice chairman joined the fray. From the looks in her eyes, Su Ping could tell that she wasn't regarding the beasts as tools, but as actual living creatures of flesh and blood. Since she could show mercy to wild beasts, Su Ping believed that she would care about astral pets even more. The fact that 5 top trainers were extending an invitation to Yu Yundan had stunned the participants on the stage as well as the audience. No one expected that Yu Yundan would be even more popular than the champion. Muliutasu was speechless. He understood that it was most likely because of the deal his family had made, so that few top trainers would contend over him. The other players eyed Yu Yundan with envy. They wondered if any of the top trainers would pick them as students later. As Yu Yundan didn't expect this, either. All of a sudden, she felt losing to Muliutasu was nothing bad. She was like an uncrowned queen. The frustration that came from losing to Muliutasu had disappeared. With her confidence boosted, a smile blossomed on her ice-cold face. Whoever became her teacher, the fact that many top trainers wanted her as a student, all of that would give her enough courage to continue her training journey. Not everyone could enjoy this honor. Standing next to her was Zhongling Tong, a shorter girl with an adorable round face. The latter had to raise her head to convey her envy with the look in her eyes. "Guys, I want her. Let's have a battle if you're not giving up." "Fine by me." "Hey, listen, I am the vice chairman." "Hey, we have no vice chairman today." Vice chairman or not, a good and promising student was worth fighting for. As Suiping had thought that the top trainers would merely politely say a few words to invite the students. The intense argument proved him wrong. Someone dropped out soon after, unable to endure the intensity in that fierce verbal battle. Eventually, 3 continued, including the vice chairman. "Let's have a brawl." "Yeah, let's see who can make it to the last second." None of the 3 was willing to make any concessions. Theoretically speaking, Yu Yundan could take the liberty to decide who she wanted to study under. However, she didn't have the courage to offend so many top trainers in one go. She had decided not to say a thing. The 3 didn't try to make things too awkward for the girl. They decided to figure it out by themselves. The losers had to back off and the winner could be her teacher. Soon, the vice chairman had someone get them some beasts. They were going to have a beast brawl. The fact that top trainers were willing to show their skills in public just to fight over a student ignited the stadium's atmosphere. The audience cheered loudly enough to topple the mountains and overturn the seas. As it had always been, the best part of the trainers' competition was to see the top trainers battle over a student. Of course, this was not something that would happen every single year, but it took place in most cases. "Brother Su, aren't you going to join us?" Hu Jiutong asked Suiping. Hu Jiutong had quit. He didn't want to be involved in that intense argument. He was surprised that Suiping had not fought for anyone yet. Suiping answered with a smile. "I'm waiting for the next one." "The next one?" Hu Jiutong looked at Zhongling Tong. It never occurred to him that Suiping would be more satisfied with that girl. Zhongling Tong was not from any common upbringing. Her family was of some influence in the Holy Light Base City. Her performance was good but not the most outstanding. Hu Jiutong didn't have his eyes on the girl and he wondered what Suiping saw in her. At the same time, the 3 that were battling over Yu Yundan had chosen 3 beasts. They were all 7th rank beasts. The time for them to train them was half an hour. Since they were merely going for a minor, innocuous battle, half an hour would suffice. Losing wouldn't even be embarrassing. The 3 7th rank beasts were taken to the stage. In less than 10 seconds, the 3 top trainers had tamed the beast that they each chose, which made the audience shout in joy. The 3 used training skills that they were good at to refine the beast's energy, physical strength, skills, and character. For any other trainer, half an hour was not enough to improve a single aspect, not to mention all aspects. The many training skills were dazzling to the eyes. Soon, half an hour passed and the 3 stopped. In that half hour, everyone including the players who were standing by the edge of the stage were holding their breaths as they watched. They were even unwilling to blink their eyes. As time came to an end, the 3 of them sent their beasts to the ring within the seal. Roar! Roar! A battle broke out within the limited space. The 3 beasts fought at close quarters and exhibited amazing strengths. That is a 7th rank electric tail mink and it just zigzagged with thunder sprint. OMG, is there anything strange about the beasts? How could he have possibly improved an advanced skill so quickly? Look at that shadow carcass. It can fend off the thunder cut. I think I'm seeing a layer of rock over that shadow carcass. The audience got even more excited as the 3 7th rank beasts continued their battles. The 3 common 7th rank beasts were demonstrating strengths that they shouldn't have. If those beasts were fighting against their respective peers, the 3 beasts would have definitely won. In half an hour, the 3 top trainers had made 3 common 7th rank beasts into elite beasts. That was beyond belief. If the 3 top trainers were given more time, they could have made the beasts even more powerful. That is what top trainers can do. Muliu Tasu, Yu Yundan, Zhongling Tong, and the other players were lost in the battle with their hearts afire. So awesome! They had spent 2 hours training their beasts, but those beats would not last a minute there. That was how different they were from top trainers. There was a world of difference. Soon, one of the beasts got hurt. Stimulated by the smell of blood, the beast became the target for the other 2. The beast was defeated not long after. LV Rinwei, who trained the beast, left the stage while hopping mad. The other 2 beasts continued their battle. 5 minutes later, the tie was broken, the vice-chairman was the winner. The electric tail mink won by a slight margin and was barely breathing. Well, thank you for pulling your punches. The vice-chairman was in a great mood. He thanked LV Rinwei and the other top trainer whose face was clouded. Then, he waved at Yu Yundan. Come here. You're my student from now on. Are you willing to take me as your teacher? Sir, please accept my kowtow. Of course, Yu Yundan was happy. She was going to drop to her knees at this moment. The vice-chairman stopped her. No hurry. There are too many people here. You can finish the ritual later. Come on over. Thank you, sir. The vice-chairman, who was in a high rank, was kinder than she had thought. All the indifference had vanished from her face. She approached the vice-chairman happily and stood behind his seat. The top trainers that didn't fight for her and had backed out earlier congratulated the vice-chairman. Having no other choice, LV Rinwei and the other top trainer also offered congratulatory words. They weren't sore losers in the end. Old Cao told Muliutasa to approach him as well, and asked him to stand behind his seat. Later, they could all go back to the headquarters together. I will call you Yudan, if that's all right with you. I know the Yu family. Years ago, I trained your family head's battle pet, the vice-chairman said to Yu Yundan with a smile and introduced her to the other top trainers. This is Mr. LV, and Mr. Hu. You must know Mr. Hu. He's an honorary professor in your academy. Yu Yundan felt she was treading on eggs. This was the first time she was with so many top trainers and her heart was racing. She greeted each top trainer politely as the vice-chairman continued the introductions. This is Mr. Su. He's from another base city, but his way of training is unique. In the future, if Mr. Su starts a class, be sure to attend it. That was how the vice-chairman introduced Suiping. Yu Yundan and Muliutasu, who were standing behind old Cao, sized up Suiping with curiosity. They had noticed Suiping when they were standing on the stage. Since they had been born in the Holy Light Base City, they were very familiar with the names of the top trainers, but Suiping was one that they had never heard of before. They thought he was a trainer that had just become a top trainer. The vice-chairman's introduction cleared their confusion. Suiping was a trainer from another base city. The two were very curious about Suiping. They wondered why a top trainer would be so careful about his appearance that he would use potions to keep a youthful look. How rare! Mr. Su, Yu Yundan greeted Suiping with a sweet voice. Suiping nodded. Then, old Cao also made the introductions on behalf of Muliutasu, profiting from this rare occasion so that the other top trainers would remember his student's face. After all, it wasn't easy for all the top trainers to get together. They were all quite busy every day. The master of ceremonies on the stage was quite sensible. He continued the ceremony only after the vice-chairman and old Cao had finished their introductions. Then, it came Zhongling Tong's turn. Without hesitation, Suiping said, I want her as my student. The vice-chairman and LV Rinwei were surprised. They thought that none of the participants were good enough for Suiping since he didn't jump out before. They didn't know that he liked Zhongling Tong as a potential student. Well, Brother Su, I see that you've already become used to this. It just so happens that I want her as well. Another top trainer grinned. This one had met Suaping the day before. He didn't fight over the first two participants because he also thought highly of Zhongling Tong. The others looked at each other but said nothing, quality before quantity. They contended over Muliutasua and Yu Yundan because the two had great potential. As for the other players, they thought that something was missing in them. They could become master trainers after some teaching, but that would be the best they could do. For top trainers, to have one more master trainer student was pointless. They were willing to exert strength and time because they wanted, even if it was a sliver of a chance, to guide a student to become a top trainer. When both the student and the teacher were top trainers, their positions could be further elevated. Suaping and the other top trainer named Su Yang were the only two who wanted Zhongling Tong as their student. Up on the stage, Zhongling Tong breathed in relief. As long as someone still wanted her. It would be embarrassing none of them wanted her as a student. They all knew Su Yang very well but were unfamiliar with Suaping. The vice-chairman had complimented Suaping many times, and yet they still had some doubts before they could see Suaping demonstrating his abilities with their own eyes. Works for me. Suaping nodded. A simple approach like this felt nice. Su Yang smiled. He went up to the stage immediately. Brother Su, good luck. Hu Jiutong cheered Suaping. The others were sizing up Suaping curiously. The vice-chairman understood that Su Yang was trying to take advantage of this chance to feel Suaping out. Having witnessed how Suaping passed the tests, the vice-chairman could not help but feel sorry for Su Yang. If Suaping could make the beast evolve, he would surely win by a landslide. As Su Yang and Suaping stepped on the stage, the audience burst into another round of cheering. The fact that Suaping was presented as a top trainer was surprising. Lin Feng and his friends, Ji Zhantang and his granddaughter, all of them were immediately shocked by this. Suaping was not sitting there because of connections. He was a top trainer. Was he? How confusing. Wasn't he a master trainer? When did he become a top trainer? Lin Feng and his friends already had a hard time believing that Suaping was a master trainer, not to mention a top trainer. How surreal. Top trainer, Ji Kaihui wondered if there was something wrong with her. Ji Zhantang was just as puzzled as his granddaughter. He thought Suaping was a titled battle pet warrior since he could kill one with his fist. It turned out that Suaping was a top trainer. Was there any trainer as violent as he was? On the stage, Suaping and Su Yang began to pick their beasts. Su Yang was the first to make a decision, and Suaping didn't take long to decide, either. The beast that Suaping picked was the one that Zhongling Tong chose, 7th rank Ice Scythe. The Ice Scythe was a beast of the water family, one of the most powerful beasts with a 7th rank bloodline. The Ice Scythe was good at defense and offense at the same time. Zhongling Tong was surprised to see that Suaping would choose the same beast. She could not wait to find out more. The one that Su Yang picked was a dragon. A 7th rank flaming spirit dragon. It was a dragon with the ability to manipulate fire as a weapon. It was said that the flaming spirit dragon was born from fire and could overpower other pets of the fire family at the same rank. The flaming spirit dragon was highly immune to fire. The flaming fire dragon was also a natural enemy for beasts of the water family. Only a few beasts of the thunder or the demon family could be well matched against the flaming spirit dragon in strength. He is going to train a beast of the water family. He is basically giving up. Doesn't he know what Su Yang's field of study is? Su Yang is known as the king of fire. No one knows more about training beasts of the fire family than he does. Anyways, there's nothing to expect of this battle, you don't know that. I heard that Suaping was able to make a beast of the 7th rank evolve within one stroke. There's still a chance for Suaping to win if he can inspire the Ice Scythe to evolve. They turned to the vice-chairman. The vice-chairman didn't foresee that Suaping would go with that beast. He shook his head. Suaping was new and knew next to nothing about Su Yang. None of the other top trainers would have picked a beast of the water family to fight against a beast of the fire family. They would have chosen a beast of either the demon, thunder, or the rock family. He felt sorry that he didn't warn Suoping about this. The only way for Suoping to win is to make the beast evolve. But I don't think the methods of training beasts of the Thunder family are effective when used with beasts of the Water family, the vice-chairman said to himself. He worried about Suoping. No one felt optimistic about the ice scythe that Suoping had selected. They thought that Suoping was making this choice because he was eager to take Zhong Lingtong as his student and wanted to make a demonstration. However, Suoping's decision was destined to be counterproductive. He might be scaring Zhong Lingtong away instead of surprising her. 11. The battle had yet to begin, but everyone believed they could already see the outcome. The only thing that could turn the situation around was for Suoping to be able to make the beast evolve as the vice-chairman mentioned. On the stage. Soon, the beasts were delivered. Suoping and Su Yang each had a sealed area for them to train the beasts. Get down. Su Yang lifted his hand. A wisp of crimson astral power poured out from his palm and seeped into the flame spirit dragon's head. The rage and cruelty disappeared from the dragon's eyes. The dragon quietly crouched down as Su Yang whispered something in its ear. The fact that Su Yang was able to tame such a barbaric 7th-rank dragon in an instant excited the audience. People had seen other top trainers' demonstrations, and yet, they would still be just as thrilled each time. Su Yang began to train the dragon. He focused his mind on the flaming spirit dragon and nothing else could distract him. In the meantime, Suoping didn't stay idle. He revealed a slight part of his solar bulwark, instantly making the roar that the ice scythe was about to let out stick in its throat. The ice scythe's 2 white eyes trembled as it stared at Suoping in fear. Suoping instructed the ice scythe to sit down with his mind. Like a marionette, the ice scythe voluntarily sat down as instructed by Suoping. Suoping went over. Without using any astral shields or armors, he directly approached the ice scythe and began to fumble around. After witnessing how Suoping tamed the ice scythe with ease, people finally were convinced that the young man was indeed a top trainer. Another top trainer had made an appearance in the Holy Light Base City. That was a piece of sensational news. The ice scythe had changed from a vicious beast to a tamed lamb as Suoping touched and stroked its paws. This time, Suoping didn't use the rules of thunder on the ice scythe. He decided to try the newly obtained Enlightening Guide and Strength Enhancement on the ice scythe. The Elementary Agility Guide, which was part of the Enlightening Guide, could help the beast pick up an inferior skill. First of all, Suoping used Strength Enhancement to strengthen the ice scythe's 2 scythe-like limbs before he used the Enlightening Guide. He moved closer to the ice scythe's head and stood in the air several meters above ground. Even though the ice scythe was sitting on the stage, given its sheer size, its head was still too high above. Seeing that Suoping was standing in the air, the audience cried in shock and excitement. Flying was a skill exclusive to titled battle pet warriors and beyond. Everyone began to take this young-looking trainer seriously. Some senior top trainers could build their astral powers to the titled rank by relying on heavy resources, but new top trainers would usually only have 8th-rank astral powers. As such, Suoping had to be one of the senior top trainers. What is he doing? Strengthening some skills. No one was able to understand Suoping's actions. Like the vice-chairman had said, Suoping's methods were unconventional and never before seen. Suoping closed his eyes and said in his mind, "Enlightening." The Enlightening Guide turned into a beam of light that seeped into the ice scythe's head from his palm. The next second, the ice scythe trembled as if it were undergoing tremendous pressure. Soon, a layer of silvery hue appeared over the ice scythe. The glow that adhered to the ice scythe had a sacred feeling and was unlike that of astral powers. Is that, the vice-chairman was surprised. He was getting a déjà vu feeling, but he couldn't remember where he had seen it before. He searched his memory with a frown. All of a sudden, 2 words jumped out of his mind. Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit trainer? He could not believe it. Dozens of years back, he once visited other continents on behalf of the Trainers Association. He had the fortune to meet Holy Spirit trainers from other continents. He saw how the Holy Spirit trainers enlightened the beasts. What Suiping was doing was similar to that, but is Suiping a Holy Spirit trainer? The vice chairman shook his head. There had to be something wrong with his mind. No way. There were merely 2 Holy Spirit trainers in the entire world. There were even more legendary battle pet warriors than Holy Spirit trainers. Why so few? The vice chairman only knew the answer after he became a top trainer. To become a Holy Spirit trainer, the trainer had to be equipped with legendary rank astral powers. That was one of the thresholds. To have legendary rank astral powers was immensely hard. One would have to study training skills while cultivating astral powers. What an impossible mission! As such, many top trainers had given up on such an unrealistic dream. They just wanted to take some students, hoping that their students could realize that dream one day. Time had left a mark on them. They no longer had such drive and passion. As for Suiping, the vice chairman was sure that he wasn't a legendary battle pet warrior because he had met both legendary battle pet warriors of the subcontinent district. He had met the ones in the tower as well, and he had heard about some legendary battle pet warriors who were hiding from the public eye. Suiping didn't belong to any group. I wonder what unconventional way that is, the vice chairman said to himself. Soon, the glow over the ice scythe receded and transformed into a white pattern that was engraved on the ice scythe's skin. The lines gradually disappeared into the ice scythe's flesh. Suiping removed his hand and looked at the ice scythe. He felt the process had been successful. The ice scythe opened its eyes and established eye contact with Suiping, who was still standing in the air. There was a crystal clear glow in the ice scythe's eyes as if it had intelligence. The master of ceremonies reminded them that the time was up. Suiping came back to his senses and darted a look at Su Yang. Su Yang had just finished his training as well. He smiled at Suiping as a reply. The ice scythe didn't evolve, right? Things are not looking good for him. I don't quite understand his training methods. I wonder what he did. Next to the stage, Hu Jiatong and old Cao were disappointed to see that the ice scythe didn't evolve. As far as they could tell, the result of that battle had already been determined. The ice scythe was much too weak when compared to the flaming spirit dragon. For starters, the ice scythe was born to be inferior to the flaming spirit dragon. Apart from evolution, there was no other way they could think of to ensure that the ice scythe could win against the flaming spirit dragon, unless Su Yang would have remained idle during that half an hour. But of course, he had indeed done something. On the stage, having received Suiping and Su Yang's agreement, the judge unleashed the 2 trained beasts, letting the fight begin. Roar! The shackles over the flaming spirit dragon were removed and its violent nature was put into full play. The loud roar echoed in the entire stadium. Even the audience was getting goosebumps after hearing that roar. Everyone was able to tell how cruel the dragon was, just from that roar. The flaming spirit dragon was ill-tempered. The ice scythe was not immune to the dragon's roar. It had come to a stop. The audience heaved a sigh. The ice scythe was at a disadvantage to begin with, and it had just lost a perfect chance to make the first attack. That made its winning all the more unlikely. Whoosh! After the roar, heavy fire burst out from the flaming spirit dragon. The flames filled the ring and the temperature was rising sharply. The high temperature was even more harmful to a beast of the water family. Even breathing in the hot air would burn the latter's lungs. Whoosh! Roaring dragon flame was unleashed. The flames formed a saber that was aimed at cutting at the ice scythe's head. The ice scythe was stopped by the dragon's roar. The ice scythe recovered from the shock the second that the flame saber was going to land on its head. Then whoosh! The ice scythe disappeared on the spot. Hey! What? Hu Jiatong and everyone else had thought that they didn't have to see the end of the battle to know the result. They all stood up in surprise after seeing the ice scythe disappear. When could the ice scythe move so quickly? The ice scythe didn't vanish. It just dashed away quickly enough and avoided the cut. Only those at the 8 rank could have a good enough vision to see that movement. The others merely saw a blur. Bang! The ice scythe reached the flaming spirit dragon within the blink of an eye. How fast! Caught off guard, the flaming spirit dragon was a bit frightened. The ice scythe began to wield its sharp limbs. The two massive limbs that functioned as scythes reached the flaming spirit dragon. Startled, the flaming spirit dragon activated its flame armor to fend off the cut. Still, the very next second, everyone witnessed how the dragon was thrown into the seal. Bang! The dragon was more than 7 meters tall. The strong impact flung it off the ground and into the seal, which was shaking. 2 streams of blood were spewing out of the dragon's chest, as the dragon slowly slid from the seal to the ground. The dragon's body twitched slightly, and the flames on its body quickly disappeared. The dragon was barely breathing. Instant KO. A hush fell in the huge stadium. Hu Jiutong and the other top trainers stood aghast. No one could believe what they had just witnessed. Standing outside the seal, Su Yang had a dull look on his face. It happened so fast that he didn't have time to process it all. The flaming spirit dragon had gained the upper hand. How could it have been defeated the next second? How? And what's with the ice scythe's speed? Not even a 7th rank beast of the wind family could have done that. That was too fast. Also, one had to take note of that outburst of strength. It was true that the ice scythe was born with enough strength, but it could never compare with a dragon of the same rank. However, just then, the flaming spirit dragon had smashed into the seal due to the attack. A perfect silence prevailed. The judge broke the ice after a moment passed. The ice scythe was about to land another strike. Hurriedly, the judge dashed into the seal and stopped the beast. Phew! The audience burst into loud shouts. That was impressive. The ice scythe had not only won, it had won in quite a stunning way. The ice scythe had been affected by the dragon's roar, and even so, with its overwhelming strength and speed, the ice scythe rose triumphantly. Was that even an ice scythe? Some people were even feeling an urge to have an ice scythe of their own. What they had just witnessed was proof that with the right way of training, an ice scythe could beat a dragon. The pets of the demon family were not the only ones able to defeat dragons. Thanks. Sui Ping cupped his fists. He turned to Zhong Lingtong, who had been completely stunned by the fight, and asked, "Come here. Are you willing to take me as your teacher?" Zhong Lingtong came back to her senses. She had a feeling that all the light in the world was covering Sui Ping. How glamorous he looked! Her heart was pounding. "Yes," she said in a hurry. Sui Ping nodded. "Come with me." With that said, he stepped down from the stage. At the front row, the other top trainers were staring at Sui Ping in a daze. Not only had the ice scythe turned the situation around, but it had also crushed the dragon. Sui Ping's opponent was Su Yang, who was acknowledged as the King of Fire, a trainer who was most proficient in training beasts, especially dragons, of the fire family. And Sui Ping had won. No one else thought that a similar feat could be achieved. That is, unless they chose a beast of the family they were most familiar with. "Brother Su, did you strengthen the beast's limbs?" After Sui Ping took a seat, Hu Jiutong could no longer hold back his curiosity. "Sort of." Sui Ping nodded. "And speed?" "Sure." "Anything else?" Nah, no one could find other words to say in reply. Improving the beast's strength and speed was a basic skill, and yet, to be able to do what Sui Ping had done within such a short time was unusual. Besides, Sui Ping had not used the thunder-related training method that, according to the vice-chairman, could make a beast evolve. That was to say, Sui Ping was holding back. The other top trainers looked at each other, full of complicated feelings. This top trainer who came from another base city is a freak. Su Yang had also returned to his seat, clearly frustrated. That was a minor battle, but he had lost to Sui Ping when he used his most proficient skill. That was disappointing. Zhongling Tong quietly stood behind Sui Ping. She was even afraid to take a look around. She could tell that the top trainer that she chose was a little bit stronger than the other top trainers, which was much to her delight. Of course, Muliu Tasu and Yu Yundan could ascertain the same thing. They could sense the difference between this new top trainer and the others. Brother Su, you are a man of mystery. Impressive. I heard that Brother Su is from Longjiang Base City. When time permits, I will visit the Longjiang Base City. I'm eager to find out more about the base city that Brother Su is from. After seeing that battle, the top trainers had officially accepted Sui Ping as one of them. Sui Ping had won them over with his strength. Sui Ping replied to their encouraging words with a smile. He took the chance to introduce them to Zhongling Tong as well. Quality before quantity. The two players had good potential, but they were subpar according to their standards. The competition ended the moment the selecting session was completed. Sui Ping left the stadium along with the vice-chairman and the other top trainers. They walked out from the corridor specially designated for them. Following the vice-chairman was Yu Yundan, while Zhongling Tong walked behind Sui Ping. Sui Ping came on the vice-chairman's car, so they went back together. Luckily, the vice-chairman's car was spacious enough to hold 8 people. Inside the vehicle, Brother Su, are you planning on giving a lecture? I believe your name will be heard across the Holy Light Base City after today. I'm sure your lecture would be quite popular, the vice-chairman said with a smile. Yu Yundan and Zhongling Tong looked at Sui Ping, eyes full of questions. The fact that Sui Ping was from another base city made him a mysterious man. No, thanks. I've been away from home long enough. I need to go back to the Longjiang base city. Sui Ping shook his head. He had found his student, to prolong his stay would be pointless. Why the hurry? The vice-chairman was surprised. I've been away for days. You should know that I run a store. I have to go back and take care of things, Sui Ping explained. Joanna was managing the store while he was away. However, she would not make as much money as when he was there. The best she could do was to break even. Well, the vice-chairman literally didn't know what to say. He knew about Sui Ping's business, of course, because Sui Ping had mentioned it when he was having the medal designed. However, the vice-chairman didn't know that Sui Ping would value the store that much. Why would a top trainer take care of a store? The vice-chairman was unable to figure Sui Ping out. Zhongling Tong and Yu Yundan were equally confused. Speaking of going back home, Sui Ping remembered Zhongling Tong. Do you want to go back with me? You can return home after you finish learning. Zhongling Tong didn't expect the question. She first darted an inquiring look to the vice-chairman. Her hesitation didn't last long before she made up her mind. I'll go wherever my teacher goes. Sui Ping raised his eyebrows. Smart girl. The vice-chairman felt sorry since Sui Ping was leaving. The Holy Light Base City and the Longjiang Base City were far away from each other. If one were to consider Sui Ping's strength, making the trip over wouldn't really be a problem. However, based on his understanding of Sui Ping's interests, the vice-chairman believed that Sui Ping would not return to the Holy Light Base City for anything after he went back home. He would have to find an appealing enough reason to entice this guy into making the trip again. Stay with your teacher and learn from him. He knows so much. He's the most outstanding among all the top trainers, the vice-chairman said to Zhongling Tong. He also liked that adorable and polite girl. Zhongling Tong and Yu Yundan were surprised after seeing that the vice-chairman thought that highly of Sui Ping. Outstanding even among all the top trainers? That would make Sui Ping the best of the best. Zhongling Tong felt her heart was racing again. Excited and shy, she darted another look at Sui Ping. All of a sudden, she realized that she had gone back home with the biggest prize. Not only was her teacher outstanding, he was also handsome. Yes, I'll make sure of that. Zhongling Tong nodded happily. I will have to test you next time, when you return. I'll have you and Yu Yundan compete. Make sure you don't lag behind. The vice-chairman smiled a friendly smile. Su Ping came from a mysterious background and the vice-chairman could not decipher him, but he could start with Su Ping's student. It would be quite beneficial if the girl could join the headquarters of the Trainers Association as a master trainer in the future. The two girls smiled at each other happily, but inside, they were committing the vice-chairman's words to memory. The time that they met again would be the time for them to compete. The next day, Su Ping went to the Zhong family with Zhong Lingtong. The Zhong family was a medium-level family in the Holy Light Base City. In regards to its wealth and resources, the Zhong family could rank among the top 10. Su Ping taking Zhong Lingtong as his student was seen on the stage when everyone was paying attention. Su Ping's picture was published in several media outlets the day before. His name had become a household word in the Holy Light Base City, in just one day. The very fact that he was a new top trainer was enough to stir up people's interest. After all, unlike master trainers, not every year could they witness the birth of a new top trainer. Of all the years in function, the number of top trainers at the headquarters of the Trainers Association had been kept at around a dozen. For the Zhong family, Su Ping taking Zhong Lingtong as his student was a cause for great joy. It was very likely that Zhong Lingtong could become a master trainer since she was going to study under a top trainer. As for becoming a top trainer, that would be up to her fate. No one could make any promises on that front. Either way, this was a good thing for the Zhong family. The day prior, an elder of the Zhong family had seen Su Ping in person to extend him an invitation for a banquet in his honor. Su Ping didn't turn it down. He also had to let them know that he would be leaving with Zhong Lingtong. As entered the Zhong family estate with Zhong Lingtong, Su Ping had another chance to witness what wealthy families of the Holy Light Base City were like. The red carpet was laid on streets that were further away from the Zhong family property. Luxury cars were parked on both sides of the street. Many Zhong family members were waiting outside and the family head was outside in person to wait for Su Ping. They had done everything they could to show their respect. Su Ping could feel the honor that came with the top trainer title. Even titled battle pet warriors would talk to him politely. After all, top trainers would often be buttered up. If titled battle pet warriors turned to master trainers to take care of their battle pets, for one thing, it would take a long time, for another, the effect would not be as good. Only top trainers could easily train 9th rank beasts. While at the banquet, Su Ping sat with the family head and both talked happily. The family head didn't assume any airs, he agreed without any hesitation upon learning that Zhong Lingtong was leaving for the Longjiang Base City. He even prepared them flying pets and assigned an elder to be their guiding rider to take them back to the Longjiang Base City. Su Ping was overwhelmed by the courtesy. He promised that he would teach Zhong Lingtong well. Before they left, the generous Zhong family gave Su Ping many small gifts, like rare materials, most of which were for pets, some herbs that were to increase a person's astral powers, and many other things that a trainer would desire. After all, a trainer had little time to cultivate astral powers, and yet, trainers did need astral powers to train pets. As such, those kinds of herbs were favored by trainers. Battle pet warriors would want those kinds of herbs as well, but they weren't in such a dire need of them. After all, the astral powers accumulated with herbs would not be as solid as the ones achieved through cultivation. Taking those herbs was not a good choice for battle pet warriors with great ambitions. Su Ping graciously accepted the gifts. The herbs could do him good. As for the fact that astral powers could be less solid, he could improve that by going through the heavens test in the cultivation site. After having bid farewell to the Zhong family, Su Ping left the Holy Light Base City with Zhong Lingtong that same day. Some people in the Holy Light Base City were relieved to see him leave. They were unhappy, but at the same time there was nothing they could do. Xiao Fengxiu had been killed by Su Ping and the Xiao family found out. However, after doing some research about Su Ping, they became afraid instead of enraged. It was said that the one who killed Xiao Fengxiu was a top trainer and also a titled battle pet warrior at the peak, someone who could cripple a beast at the peak of the 9th rank with one punch. The man had a mysterious origin. Apart from swallowing down the humiliation, there was nothing the Xiao family could do. They had to pretend that nothing had happened. They could always have another young master, but sacrificing the entire family was something they would definitely not do. The stakeholders of their family enterprises and even family members would disagree. Leaving the matter unsettled was the way to go. An old man was sitting on the neck of the bird while behind him were a boy and girl. It was Suiping and Zhong Lingtong who were going back to the Longjiang base city. The old man was an elder from the Zhong family, a titled battle pet warrior at the intermediate rank. He was told to escort Suiping and Zhong Lingtong back. Sir, since she was sitting next to Suiping, Zhong Lingtong felt a bit ill at ease. She was very curious about the young teacher she had just apprenticed to, but she was afraid to ask questions. For example, Sir, you look so young. How old are you? Also, are you self-taught? Do you have a teacher? Is your teacher still alive? She had no idea about Suiping's temper and she had to push all the questions to the bottom of her heart. She felt she could barely breathe. After some hesitation, she worked up the courage. Sir, do you have other students? Nope, Suiping said. That was a short answer. Zhong Lingtong was speechless. She had worked so hard to summon up the courage and that answer only had one word. A miser with words. Zhong Lingtong lowered her head. She pinched her clothes and her eyes became watery. The old man sitting on the bird's neck turned around and respectfully reminded Suiping with a smile, Master Su, we will be arriving at Longjiang base city soon. Suiping nodded. Roar! Right then, a fierce bellow suddenly came from further ahead. That roar was so loud that the three of them could hear it even while flying thousands of meters above the ground. Startled, Zhong Lingtong and the old man lowered their heads. They saw that dozens of people were being chased by a bunch of beasts on the ground. Two of the huge beasts appeared to be quite ferocious and tough. I don't think they're explorers. The old man was shocked to see women, kids, and other vulnerable people in the crowd. Some battle pet warriors had set up a seal to protect those common people who had no cultivation. No explorers who went out for a hunt would bring along those common people. Master Su, the old man meant to ask Suiping if he was willing to help. Get down there, Suiping said at once. He stood upon the saddle as if there were a magnetic force pulling his feet to the saddle. The old man steered the bird to make a dive. Suiping was face down in such a position. The wind blew his hair up. Take care of my student, Suiping requested. He mobilized his astral powers and flew down when he was 1,000 meters away from the ground. Suiping's reminder came as a surprise to Zhong Lingtong. All of a sudden, she felt a spread of warmth through her heart. Whoosh! Suiping dashed to the ground. He could see that the herd of beasts that were attacking this crowd of people was being led by two 9th rank beasts. Suiping threw himself first to the 9th rank column cattle. Whoosh! He rushed to the ground like a meteor rock falling. Some battle pet warriors that were dealing with the beasts were gladly surprised to see this human being, a titled battle pet warrior, floating down from the sky. The column cattle roared. A layer of earthy yellow armor appeared over its body as the column cattle smashed one of the battle pet warriors away. Sensing danger, the column cattle raised its head. The view of a man diving down leaped into its sight. Roar! Angrily, the column cattle stomped on the ground. Many spikes rose around it and the spikes grew quickly and converged into one huge pinnacle above its head. Come on! Suiping did not slow down. He wielded his fist. Compared to the column cattle, Suiping was a tiny little man. It was like a small piece of rock was going to fall onto a boulder. However, the next second, accompanied by a loud noise, the pinnacle cracked and the ground shook. Hiding beneath the pinnacle, the column cattle was frightened. Suiping's punch landed on the column cattle's head. Its body fell into pieces. Due to the impact, a pit with a diameter of over 10 meters appeared on the ground. Instant KO. The remains of the column cattle were scattered across the place. Suaping stabilized himself above the location where the column cattle was it. He did not linger. Up in the air, Suaping dashed to deal with the other 9th-ranked beast. Whoosh! The whistle in the air alerted the 9th rank that was fighting a battle pet. The beast turned around, only to see the human being heading its way and the remains of its friend. That view threatened the atrocious beast. Die! Suaping rushed to the beast and waved his fist. Bang! Suaping smashed away the hill-like beast which was barely breathing. The other beasts screamed and scattered as their two leaders had met their doom. It was happening so fast that many battle pet warriors had not realized what had happened. The ones that they were protecting in the seal were so frightened that their mouths hung ajar. Within the blink of an eye, one of the 9th-rank beasts died and the other one crippled. No one was able to utter a sound as they looked at the young man in the air. "It's you," in the crowd, one of the middle-aged men could not believe who he had just seen with his own eyes. Suaping turned to the man who said those words. The person looked familiar. After further thought, he remembered that this had been the titled battle pet warrior who had helped him ride the Lion Eagle to get to the Holy Light Base City. "You?" Suaping raised his eyebrows. "You're not going to tell me that the underground railway is again under attack, are you?" Suaping looked around. Wu Tianming flew to where Suaping was. He still remembered that young man who had punched a titled battle pet warrior to death, but he didn't know that Suaping was much more formidable. Things pointed at Suaping being at the peak of the titled rank, since he could easily eliminate two beasts at the upper position of the 9th rank. "Sir, thank you," Wu Tianming expressed gratitude at once. Embarrassed, he produced a forced smile and continued, "Indeed, we were under attack again. Beasts have been quite active as of late. Considering what happened today, the leaders are thinking about closing this line and reopening after all the beasts are cleared." Suaping didn't know what to say. It was true that the underground railway could be attacked by beasts, but it would only happen once or twice every year. However, he had already encountered 2 strikes on his way there and back. Barely a week had passed. Was it him, or were the beasts out of luck? Suaping waved his hand. "Okay, I will take off." With that said, he flew back. High in the air, both Zhong Lingtong and the Zhong family elder were in shock. They were both aware that Suaping was at the titled rank, and yet they both assumed that he had simply relied on some special herbs. They didn't know that Suaping could be this violent. The rumors they had heard seemed to be true. Mr. Su indeed was at the peak of the titled rank. The Zhong family elder gazed at Suaping with ardent respect. There was one step between the peak of the titled rank and the legendary rank. Suaping is a titled battle pet warrior at the peak and a top trainer. If he could progress to the legendary rank, wouldn't that equate to the high chance he would later become a Holy Spirit trainer? No wonder the family head reminded the young lady time and again to behave and learn well from Mr. Su. It turns out that the family head already knew about Mr. Su's potential, and that he could become a Holy Spirit trainer in the future. The Zhong family elder thought. He quickly steered the ride to Suaping's way. Suaping sat down on the saddle. "Let's go." Dealing with 2 9th-rank beasts was effortless. He didn't even have to catch his breath. Suaping's calmness again filled the Zhong family elder with mixed feelings. He quickly flew away. On the ground, Wu Tianming, the other battle pet warriors, and the ordinary people watched as Suaping left. Some even knelt on the ground and kowtowed in his direction. That had just meant lending a hand for Suaping. Still, for those people, Suaping had just pulled them out from a desperate situation. They were naturally quite grateful. As they continued their journey, Suaping noticed that there seemed to be more beasts than there should be in the wild. It wasn't a normal amount. Suaping frowned. Were the strikes not accidents but by design? He saw the familiar wall and the guards who wore familiar uniforms. The uniforms used by the guards in each base city were different. Even though he was merely away for a few days, he was more than excited to be back. "Who's there? Register your identity." A device had picked up the signal that the saber-toothed bird was coming. There were already titled battle pet warriors heading to where the bird was going to pass to wait for their arrival. They became aware that this was not a strike by wild beasts once they saw people sitting on the bird. As such, they shouted to the people to warn them. The saber-toothed bird flew to where the titled battle pet warrior was. The Zhong family elder was going to present their family crest. The Zhong family was not one of the most famous families, unlike the four ancient families that were famous across the subcontinent district. Even so, the Zhong family's information was recorded on all the base cities. It was just that the general public was not so familiar with them. All of a sudden, another titled battle pet warrior stuttered, "Mr. Su." The Zhong family elder was surprised, and so was Zhong Lingtong. Back when she was in the vice-chairman's car, she had heard about the fact that Suiping ran a store there. Still, that titled battle pet warrior had clearly recognized Suiping. It seemed that the titled battle pet warrior was afraid of Suiping. It was fear, not respect. "Nice to meet you, Mr. Su." "Sir, please forgive him, he's kind of blind." "This way please." The titled battle pet warrior bowed to Suiping and immediately dragged his colleague away. His colleague fell into a daze the moment he heard the name Mr. Su. He had never met Suiping in person, but he was more than familiar with the name. It would suffice to say that Suiping was as vicious as a viper. Every titled battle pet warrior in the area had talked about this Mr. Su. That young man right there was the Mr. Su that people had mentioned. He was just as young as the rumors said. As he remembered some of Mr. Su's great deeds, the titled battle pet warrior turned ghastly pale and his legs trembled. He bowed at once and cold sweat was coursing down his cheeks. He felt he had used up all of his luck that day. The two titled battle pet warriors' reaction stunned both the Zhong family elder and Zhong Lingtong. They knew that Suiping was both a titled battle pet warrior at the peak and a top trainer. And yet, those two were titled battle pet warriors. Did they have to be this afraid? They were acting as if Suiping were at the legendary rank. "Do you know me?" Suiping asked the frightened titled battle pet warrior. "Yes, of course," the titled battle pet warrior smiled apologetically. The general public might not know about what happened between Suiping, the Star Organization and the Tang family, but all the titled battle pet warriors were in the know. This Mr. Su was not a simple man. A legendary battle pet warrior was supporting him. "I don't think you were inspecting this frequently in the past, were you?" Suiping asked the two titled battle pet warriors. He had left and then made his way back to the base city as an explorer before, but never had he seen such stringent inspections. That was just one saber-toothed bird. Even if it were a wild beast, one titled battle pet warrior would be enough to take care of it. "Mr. Su, there has been a recent increase in wild beasts roaming around the base city. We're just playing it safe, we apologize for having offended you," one of the two answered. Suiping remembered the beasts he had dealt with. Indeed, he wasn't overthinking. "Okay. Take care. I'm going to take off." Suiping then said to the Zhong family elder, "Let's hit the road." The Zhong family elder came back to his senses and nodded. He still felt that the two titled battle pet warriors were unusually respectful to Suiping. The saber-toothed bird flew into the base city. Suiping provided directions and soon, they arrived at his store in the shantytown area. After catching an overview of the base city, the Zhong family elder exclaimed to himself, thinking that a Tier 2 base city indeed looked dilapidated. The surprising thing was that Suiping's store was in that crappy place. Is this the center of the base city? Although full of questions, the Zhong family elder didn't dare ask any of them. He made the bird stop in mid-air. "You can go back. Do stay safe." Suiping stood up and mobilized some astral powers to help Zhong Lingtong stand in the air. The Zhong family elder nodded. He watched as Suiping and Zhong Lingtong landed right in front of the store before he turned around and flew away. Sir, is this your store? Suaping placed Zhong Lingtong on the ground. Feeling relaxed, she looked up at the building in front of her. That was the most magnificent building on the street and it looked nothing like the rest of the buildings. The sign says, Pixie Pet Store? Pixie. Yup. Suaping nodded. The door was open but few people were around, which was unexpected. He could feel Tang Ruyan and Joanna were inside the store. He walked up the stairs. He saw that Tang Ruyan was cultivating on the couch. There was a faint, green hue around her neck. She was practicing the glass bulwark, the unique Tang family skill. Tang Ruyan stopped upon hearing the noise. She saw Suaping and soon after, Zhong Lingtong who was standing behind him. Tang Ruyan put her guard up after the initial moment of surprise. No customers? Suaping asked. The spots are full already. Tang Ruyan stood up and darted another glance at Zhong Lingtong. And this is? She tried to remain calm. My student, Suaping made the introductions, she is my employee. Employee? Zhong Lingtong could not believe it. She had been amazed by the pretty girl the moment she stepped inside. The detached temperament of the girl told Zhong Lingtong that she was not an ordinary girl. Still, Suaping said she was his employee. Zhong Lingtong thought the girl was Suaping's granddaughter for a moment. In her mind, Zhong Lingtong had always been thinking that Suaping had to be as old as the other top trainers. Naturally, Suaping didn't know what train of thought was running in his student's mind. How has the business been going? Is everything good? He asked Tang Ruyan. Very good. The store is packed every day. The families in the Longjiang base city must have become aware of the benefits of your store. The people that come to the store are all from those families. The other people cannot even get a spot in the line, Tang Ruyan answered. She recalled them from the time the family heads and elders paid them a visit. Ever since she had given up on the idea of going back to the Tang family and decided to stay in the Longjiang base city, she had been working extra hard to ask around about those local families. Suaping raised his eyebrows. All from those families? That would make him the family's designated trainer. Did they use some methods to drive away the other customers? Suaping asked. If those families dared to do such things, he would make sure that they could not bear the consequences. Well, they are buying the spots in the line and there are people that want to make this kind of money, Tang Ruyan explained. The spots are limited in your store. Many people now would stay in the line and then sell their place to others for money. Suaping raised his eyebrows. So, scalpers? Hey, what a good way of making money by not investing a thing. Well, I have to think of a way to manage that. Suaping thought of an idea soon. He could implement the rules the next day. I need to go home for a moment. Not planning to stay any longer in the store, he took Zhong Lingtong home first. He had to tell his mother about his safe return first. She was knitting a sweater at the time, Suaping introduced Zhong Lingtong to her. Zhong Lingtong was going to study under him and live in the Longjiang base city for a while. He could get to know her during this time. She might have to travel with him often in the future. Li Qingru was more than happy to see that Suaping was back. She put down the sweater and said that she was going to shop for groceries and cook them a fancy dinner. Suaping told his mother that casual dishes were fine. He was curious, since he had not seen Solingyu there, so he asked about it. Didn't you give your sister the admission letter from that academy? Well, they are starting a new semester and she has already left. Li Qingru heaved a sigh. Your sister has never gone on a long journey before. I'm worried about her, but she insisted that she has to go. I couldn't make her stay. Suaping was surprised that Solingyu had already left for the academy. When did she leave? Suaping remembered the beasts that were striking the trains. 2 days. Suaping was a bit relieved. Still, he was concerned. He asked for the train number to monitor it. Your sister left you a letter in your room. I didn't read that, you know. You're a big man now. If it's all right with you, be sure to look after your sister. Don't let others bully her, Li Qingru said. She was still worried about Su Lingyu leaving the house alone. Su Ping nodded. Afterward, he contacted the mayor Xiejin Shui and told him the train number that Su Lingyu took and asked if there had been any accident reports. Xiejin Shui was surprised to receive a call from Su Ping. Soon after, he had found out that everything was okay with that train and it had already reached its destination. Su Ping set his mind at ease. That was to say, Su Lingyu had arrived safely. Vice Principal Han Yuxiang would look after her in the academy. She would be fine. Eater. Su Ping curled his lips. Never mind. He had thought that she could help around the house. As for teaching her training skills, that was not the task for the moment. His intention in taking the girl to the Longjiang base city was to get to know her conduct first. As for her teaching, if he was willing, he was able to turn Zhong Lingtong into a top trainer right that moment, and that was not an exaggeration. His training skills involved the rules of thunder, strength enhancement, and the enlightening guide. He could impart all of this information to her on the spot. Like what he did with the beasts. To quote the system's words, everything was a pet and everything could be trained. Since the beasts could be trained as pets, humans could, too. In a broader sense, humans and beasts were all living creatures of the same kind. Su Ping could train Zhong Lingtong as he trained beasts. For example, he could impart the rules of thunder to her. In that way, she would be able to use the rules of thunder to train pets. At the very least, she could pass the 7th rank test and get her credentials as a master trainer in one go. Therefore, teaching Zhong Lingtong was nothing hard. It was a question of when he would do that. He took a student so that he could have an inside connection with the Trainers Association. In other words, the most important thing for a student to have was loyalty. For starters, she would have to show gratitude. That was the hurdle that Su Ping had designed for Zhong Lingtong. It would be up to her to see if she could pass this test. I have something to take care of. Make yourself at home. Su Ping left Zhong Lingtong downstairs and he went up to his room. He sat down before his computer and found an envelope in his desk drawer. It only had a few words written on it. For the bad guy. Su Ping was speechless. That little proud girl would simply not call him brother, not even when she was leaving. Su Ping opened the envelope and read carefully. He finished a few minutes later. Even though she tried to make it sound easy, Su Ping could still tell that the Elite League had left a mark on her. His first intention was to train her well, but he changed his mind after the incident with Yan Binjiu. But not Su Lingyu. She was still on her journey to make herself stronger. Su Ping folded the letter and placed it back in the envelope. He would keep the letter in his drawer. He sat there quietly for 2 minutes before he left his room. In the living room, Zhong Lingtong was at a loss about what to do. Since she was feeling quite uncomfortable there, Su Ping told her to go to the store with him. He could ask her to help out in the store during this time. Half an hour after he went back to the store, the fact that he had returned was made known to all major families. All of them had set up a special team to keep an eye on the Astral Pet Store. After all, none of the families could afford to upset the store in any way while a legendary battle pet warrior was in the store. Even a sneeze from the legendary battle pet warrior would mean a great disaster for them. Soon, all the major families sent over representatives to the Astral Pet Store to bear gifts. Su Ping was at the moment going through the sales reports and the pets in the store. He didn't like being disturbed. Those people were not going to buy anything and the gifts couldn't be converted into energy points, and that is why Su Ping told Tang Ruin to close the door at once. Naturally, he was aware of what the major families were up to. They were being too careful. He would never make trouble proactively as long as people didn't offend him first. After all, he was a kind person at heart. The world quieted down after the doors were closed. Su Ping focused his mind on counting the pets in the store. He also said hello to Joanna, whom he hadn't seen for a couple of days. Joanna would never change. She never treated anyone with excitement. Suaping had long grown accustomed to that. He read the account books and looked at the number of energy points. Alas, what a beautiful world! He had 8.89 million energy points. He could use the incubation pool 8 times in a row. Each usage would cost him 1 million energy points, which was equal to 100 million astral coins. That also equaled the money needed for a one-time training of an advanced pet. Of course, compared to the money spent, using the incubation pool was a good deal. There was a good chance that a Beast King could be bred with a 4th-level incubation pool. Suaping had yet to use the pool since he upgraded it. He didn't use it because he was worried about not having enough energy points. But things were different at the moment. He could use it 8 times and he believed that he would be successful at least one time. Suaping went to the room which was closed all year round. He was the only one who had full access to the many rooms in the building. Not even Joanna could do that unless he gave her authorization. He closed the door and stepped to the center of the room. Under his feet was the starry sky and floating in the sky was the incubation pool that was like a dried-up well. He felt nervous every time he entered the room. He took a deep breath and prayed to God and Buddha and everyone he could think of before he got started. Confirm. Yes, -1 million. Suaping felt his heart ache as the number jumped down from 8.89 million to 7.89 million. Still, he focused his sight on the incubation pool. There was a gentle, orange glow over the pool. Some ancient-looking grains were moving around. A moment later, the glow disappeared and overwhelming energy began to seep out from the pool. The next second, a figure that was over 10 meters tall came out. It was a beast that looked like an ape with a strong body, golden hair, and flame-like eyebrows. It seemed that the beast had a short temper. Suaping could not believe it. It was a beast that had already reached adulthood. He never thought that the pool would produce an adult beast. That didn't seem to be a beast king, but merely at the peak of the 9th rank. Even so, Suaping could tell that the beast was horrifying. There was something about the beast that made him feel that it didn't belong to this age. Roar! The ape-like beast growled as it stood above the pool. The system's voice jumped out, "Congratulations for obtaining this fierce fire ape that comes from the medieval times." It sounded serious but Suaping felt that the system was gloating. Why isn't it an egg or an infant? Suaping had to ask. He had wanted to have an adult beast bred out of the pool to keep up with the appearances, back when he had just taken over the store. And yet, he could only get things like the little skeleton or the purple python's egg. He was finally okay with an infant, but he received that adult beast instead. He thought he would only get infants and eggs. Things are random with the incubation pool, including the beast's realm. You may also get a beast with above-average aptitude. The system made it sound quite appealing. The system is trying to trick me into spending all my energy points. Suaping filed his teeth. Of course, he was aware that the system was quite serious in this regard. Since the system had explained this, he knew that it was indeed just a matter of probability. For how much can the fierce fire ape be sold? Suaping asked. The beast was at the peak of the 9th rank. To train it was not worth it. He wanted to know if selling it would make up for the money he had spent.